Thank you very much for joining this session about blockchain. Well, I'm going to share with you a personal journey. This morning we heard about dinosaurs. And if somebody is a dinosaur in IT, it's me. Yeah? I'm 62, and I've been in IT for 40 years. Many of you weren't born yet, and these guys probably are about the age that I can call them my son. My eldest daughter is 27, so that's about that. We have the honor to be keeping you awake after a wonderful lunch. So be aware for some activity. I hope this will be one of these sessions that will be very active in terms of you participating with 4 great experts on the field of blockchain. And the personal story that I want to share with you is the personal story that I was just telling you about my daughter, who is 27, and she works at a lawyer firm in Amsterdam. Somebody been to Amsterdam? Yeah, did you see my daughter? Not that I know of. Not that you know of. And she said last year to me, a little bit more than a year ago, she said, "Daddy, at our law firm they are talking about blockchain. Do you know what blockchain is?" I said, "No, I don't know. I know that it is something to do with cryptocurrency, and I'm afraid of cryptocurrency. Don't touch it. It's one of these gizmos that a dinosaur like me doesn't want to get into." However, I was curious, so I told her, "Why are you, as a lawyer firm, interested in blockchain? Blockchain is technology, and I don't want to hear anything about technology." Good morning. Good morning. So I went to her boss and said, "Okay, tell me why a lawyer firm is interested in blockchain. Blockchain is highly technology, is highly complex, is highly I don't know what, but I do know that I don't want to get involved in that." Okay, that was 1.5 years ago. Now I'm here moderating a session on blockchain. So in 1.5 years, something has changed over here. Something has changed that says, "Eppo, this blockchain thing is more than just cryptocurrency." And I have a set of, well, I call these experts in terms of, I'm a novice, I know nothing about blockchain. However, I know that it will change the world the same way as 25 years ago, internet changed the world. And I want to be part of that. Although I'm 62 years old, in 25 years I will be 87. Can you imagine? I don't have hair anymore when I'm 87. So I invite you to open up your ears, to open up your minds, and listen to these guys, what they're going to tell you about how they are embarking on a journey that is called blockchain. We do it in a way like the television program Dragon's Den. You know that? Yeah? So each participant has created a statement that he thinks is applicable to him as a area that he thinks is very, very important for him. And those 4 people, they will share that statement with the panel, of course, but we invite you to participate. We invite you to ask the foolish questions. What is blockchain? 1.5 years ago, I didn't know. So who is about the same level as me 1.5 years ago? Who would say, "I am novice to blockchain"? Yeah? blockchain. Who would say that he or she is like this? Have a little bit about blockchain, a little bit knowledge about blockchain? Yeah, a little bit. So how much years of experience or how much hours of experience do you have? 2 hours? Oh, yeah.
That's about it. It's correct.
Then you're probably already an expert. Yeah. Who would say he or she is an expert on blockchain?
I'm studying.
You're studying?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. These are experts on blockchain. And I told them not to be experts today. I told them to be, let's say, talk in language that we all understand. Well, I give you the first speaker. So Mauricio, he has 4 minutes to explain what he thinks is most important from his point of view in terms of blockchain. Then he gets 8 minutes to discuss with the panel and with you. Then it stops. And then we go further with the next panel. So Mauricio, it's your thing today.
For 12 minutes. Thank you, and thank you to all of you to attend to this presentation. So my name is Mauricio Fernandez. I've been working on the information security and identity and access management for the last 18 years of my life. I come pretty much from the PKI world. And what excites me more about this technology is actually fulfill some of the answers that I had questions years ago about distributed technology and how we can create value security, okay? So when I started joining those things, of course, was a little bit of a hype of cryptocurrency, but I certainly realized that the cryptocurrency was nothing that I was really interested in. It was interesting for me that a protocol or a technology can run on its own and actually deliver trust amongst the participants. And that's something, a fundamental question that you have to ask when you work on distributed ledger technology. What does it actually do, and what did I use it for? What did I use it for? In the last 2.5 years, I have overcome some of the challenges of answering this question. It's pretty much what I say, a technology that allows you to transact value in a fundamental way that actually get rid of the intermediaries. And that fundamental question brings out what is the implicit value of the blockchain? Well, enables to get this value into another business model that was not there before, or was tied to regulations and an order that traditionally we think it is secure and safe for our society. Traveling around the world for the last 17 years, I live in the Middle East, in Europe and in America. I can see what trust is on the eye of the beholders, on the eye of the society. And the more the society moves along towards this definition of trust and the challenges that come along with this trust redefinition, I think blockchain will be the technology that will allow you to glue other technologies to fulfill that thing. And with that note, I think I can actually hand it over to the next person on this mode.
Okay, so what is your statement? I've put your statement on the screen. So what is let's say, your statement in short words?
Statement is trust will be redefined and we need to get rid of intermediaries. That's my basically statement.
So can you give an example of an intermediate?
Well, if you see most of these transaction values that we have nowadays on the payment systems, they're really regulated by traditional actors. And they have a lot of inefficiencies in the middle. Okay? So we can deleverage this value on the payment system to put this money back to our society. Okay? On the other things, I have a little bit of problems, intermediaries, in terms of failed governments, where my data is being held in custody and I cannot recover them anymore. So I don't call these people governments, I call it intermediaries. If I overcome this challenge, I can actually have possession of my data and I can prove to this world that I belong as a citizen or as an identity for performing a transaction.
Would you call a bank an intermediate party?
No, I will call a bank an actor of a highly intermediate process.
Okay, and are banks trustworthy?
A bank as much as trustworthy as the value or the trust we give it to them.
Yeah, and the trust lies in how many hands when you are a bank.
How many
How many hands is the trust?
I don't know.
One.
One hand, yeah.
Yeah, one. So the trust protocol, blockchain. You can. We were just talking about blockchain as a terms of trust protocol.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that? We discussed it this morning.
Yeah. So in terms of the trust that I put on a bank is the trust that you give into these people to manage your money. The same way I give you the trust to the protocol to fulfill a transaction based on the rules I understand, and trust that the transaction will go through based on those rules. Okay. So I don't need to revisit those rules. I don't need to challenge what is beneath those rules. I can, by thinking and by analyzing the protocol, understand that it's as secure as other things I have done in my life, and I don't need to rethink about these things anymore. So what I want to this trust is the most important question.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, panelists, Thomas, Remy, Badreddine, what are you thinking of Mauricio's statement? Distributed ledger will bring far better transparency and trust among participants, which was previously responsibility of governments, central authorities, and regulations. Thomas, please.
So before I came in, me and Mauricio actually met in a lounge and ended up having a bit of a heated conversation over this because I kind of disagree.
You disagree?
Yeah, I completely disagree. I don't disagree with that statement because that statement is quite open, but in terms of Mauricio's explanation, so I think there are two sides to the blockchain space. Mauricio's just mentioned about the public blockchain space with payments, etc. Whereas I found more when we're meeting with B2B customers, so companies like Vodafone and Rolls-Royce, etc., they're not interested in public blockchain. So the opposite side, and there are definitely two sides of blockchain, and I think if anyone's going to look into it, the permission blockchain space is not to do with payments and is all to do with being able to share information between companies. So nothing to do with payments. In fact, often, and I'll go into it in mine in a bit more detail, I don't want to take up all the time, but when we've set up the sharing of information between companies using permission blockchains, the settlement will often still be done through Visa because companies don't want to use cryptocurrencies, because if cryptocurrency goes up in price, as if it goes down in price because of things like tax and accounting issues. Yeah. So not interested in cryptocurrencies.
Yeah. Can you briefly explain what permissive blockchain is?
Yeah, so...
Does anybody know what a permissive blockchain is?
Permission. So
maybe you, expert, where are you? No? Permissive blockchain. That's one that you see about 90% of the blockchains are permissive blockchains. That's what you said before. I'd say
90% of the work that's going on in companies like Dell and Bosch, etc., is the public blockchains are examples like Ethereum and Bitcoin, and they came about first. But then when they tried to get applied to things like supply chain in large companies, these companies turned back and said, why on earth would we want all our information to be public? Like, there's no way in a supply chain that any company wants any of its competitors or customers further down the supply chain to know about what it's paying. But at the same time, it does want to share information. For example, if I'm Thales or BAE Systems, I might want to be able to prove to the Ministry of Defence clearly that, and without being able to forge it, that I've been buying from these trusted suppliers. Okay. Permission blockchains allow you to do that by setting up permissions in the blockchain space.
Okay, thank you very much. Remy, react on the statement, please.
Yeah, of course. That's the most important thing. Is the question is you will not be an expert of blockchain technology. That's not the purpose of this meeting. The purpose of the meeting is about trust. Now, how our current system works. It works with trusted third parties. The question is, are we able to transfer our trust to third parties towards a technology? That's the main point. And what is trust? is your ability to make something with another entity or people in a securely, safely, and transparent way. Am I right?
Mhm.
It's exactly what provides you blockchain technology. Why we don't try it? Why
Yeah,
not?
That's the good question.
Yes.
Yeah.
And-
Why don't we trust
Exactly.
cars that drive autonomously? Because of the technology, probably.
It's yes, but for me it's another question.
Yeah.
There will be always a people behind it, and there is always a responsibility behind.
Yeah.
My question is: are we able to use a system in a totally autonomous way that provide us better way to improve our daily lives by spending our money, by exchanging value with other people, without using a system controlled by specific entities?
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
The blockchain, the Bitcoin blockchains was under attack since more 10 years. She suffered from 1 million attacks. No one succeeded. No one. If there is cybersecurity experts in this room, they know that every system has a fail. But it shows you that it's a robust technology. That's the proof. I'm not telling you, it's not it's a statement. It's a fact. So blockchain technology is the most secure way now to create and exchange value. It provides you something that current system doesn't provide you now. The ability to send something in other part of the world in few minutes and a cheaper way and in totally transparent way.
Okay.
That's a reality.
Thank
That's
you.
my point of view of the
Yeah.
statement.
Thank you very much. And we come back on that cheaper and faster later on. Yeah? But Redine, do you want to react short? We have 2 minutes left, I think. 2 minutes left on that statement, please.
Sure. On a high level, I think indeed trust is being redefined on the internet by blockchain technology. It's the glue that's bringing everything together. However, one large misconception, in my honest opinion, has been the disintermediation of the banks, insurers, governments, etc., etc. Blockchain is about to disrupt everything, and I think that's not true. Blockchain is rather about right-sizing intermediation. And with right-sizing, I mean it offers more transparency, it offers control to the users about their data on platforms. And the parties that won't go with this journey and who are subtracting value without adding any value back, those deserve to be disrupted. Okay. But those who care about their customers, about the user experience, about the data, about the security, I think they are ahead for great times where they can collectively develop new value propositions on the next generation of the internet, which will be backed by blockchain technology. And an important aspect to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that we should look at blockchain technology as a kind of public digital infrastructure that isn't owned by anyone, but can be used by everyone.
Okay,
Instead of thinking about like all the stuff, this is my blockchain, this is yours, it's all open source, it can be used by anyone, and it isn't owned by, it can be used by everyone, and it isn't owned by anyone.
It's truly open, I understand.
It's truly open, yes,
Truly
especially for the open blockchains.
Yeah. Well, I'm very impressed. Are you impressed by the answers of the panel?
I'm quite impressed about the different views. I'm not necessarily share all these views. And what I can say is that...
Keep it short, please.
Yeah, sorry. My best example I can give is I come from a country that has been disrupted by his own government, and people are able to survive based on the use of this technology. So I can say that disintermediation bring by blockchain was the solution to an economy.
Okay, thank you. Well, next is Thomas.
Thomas. I thought we had questions in between each person.
Yeah, well, I want everybody to be to able to defend his statement. So you're now.
Yeah, cool. Yep. So thanks for being here. I have a product management type role. So in the blockchain space. So my first product management role in blockchain started about 2 years ago as part of Accenture for Thales, the defense company. And since that solution has moved on to incorporate other companies like BAE Systems and Rolls-Royce. So all of my experience really has only been with C-suite and trying to convince them that this is technology for them from a B2B perspective. So it's very different from a B2C perspective, which I feel like a lot of other people have at the moment. So my two main statements, the first one is that blockchain is going to be able to allow automation between companies. I want to give a very specific example of what we're working on at the moment with a tier one telco company. So this company has 50,000 contracts with suppliers at the moment. They might be offering services, they might be offering laptops, anything. And about 5,000 companies are offering these 50,000 services. And at the moment, because of the manual cost to track all these, they're only able to actually track the 1,000 most high priority contracts. So there's 49,000 contracts that aren't being tracked closely. How can you solve that? There's lots of different technologies that can solve that, but we're working with a company called Clause, and their platform allows you to take a legal contract and physically link the wording in that contract to underlying code. So you might have, as a simple example, Company A is going to offer this consulting service for 4 months. After they've done that, I'll click a confirmation and they'll automatically get paid. Rather than that having to be done through a contract management system by a human, because it's a digitally native smart legal contract, everything gets carried out automatically in the back end. So these 50,000 contracts, once they're migrated over, will be fully automatable. The second one is between devices. I didn't want to go on this too much. I feel like IoT has been covered this morning. But we're also working with another telco company to look at how Internet of Things devices can communicate directly. So this will be your automated car going into a petrol station, paying for the charge automatically, going into a toll, paying for the toll automatically. We won't be making as many transactions in the future. It's going to be automated, and devices will be directly paying devices, as Internet of Things was supposed to be in the first place, but it never quite made it, and I believe blockchain is going to come along and finally make Internet of Things the Internet of Things.
Okay, Remy, can you react to what Thomas has said?
I agree.
I agree. Well, that's short enough.
The question is why I agree.
Yeah.
Just if you have just to think about blockchain, just imaging the fact that it's a component of few different technologies. First of one is cryptography. The second one is a peer-to-peer network, like internet you use every day, is electronic signatures, tokenization system, and a ledger. And you can use just one component of this technology for improving a specific industry, for automation, for example. And why is the benefit to use it? Because I'm thinking you're talking about smart contract, isn't it? Also.
Yeah, smart legal contracts.
Yes. So, but what are exactly smart contracts? The smart contract is a transcription in an informatical language of previously agreed condition, which will be executed without need of an intermediary. So you can use it in the industry. That's why German wants to use it to make it the new revolution of our own industry. So that's why I'm agree about that, because it provides you a way to automatize a full range of services that currently suffer from manual intervention or suffer from a lack of interoperability of different systems. That's why I agree.
Yep. Okay, thank you very much, Remy. Before going to the other panelist, I want to ask you if you have something to ask with regards to Thomas. Contracts between companies will be fully automated? How does it work?
This may sound like one of those dumb questions, but is blockchain like an Excel program? I mean, how do you do a blockchain?
In a way, I think
You can eat it.
How do you do a blockchain?
it's basically like the simplest way for this type of use case is it's just a SharePoint, and in SharePoints exist at the moment within companies, don't they? So a company only has a SharePoint, and you can go there and you can put things in that SharePoint and share them between the company and information within the company. But what blockchain allows you to do is have a SharePoint that exists between different companies. So different companies can trust one specific SharePoint and, I don't know, exchange different types of information. That might be a contract has been completed. It might be an internet device has sent another thing to another device. So the simplest way is it's a SharePoint that is secure enough to exist between different companies who don't trust each other.
Yeah, basically blockchain gives a lot of information within a trusted element between companies. So basically what Mauricio said in his statement is a distributed ledger. So it's a way how to distribute your contracts or your appointments between companies. And the distributed means that in many cases it's even open. Not some kind of software. Yes, there is software involved.
I did not understand what he said.
You didn't understand. You didn't understand. Yeah.
Okay, that's my fault. So what I was trying to say is a SharePoint. So a SharePoint is like, you know, Microsoft Teams. You know, it's like, so if I'm joking, okay. So I was going to explain that, but
I have another question over here. You were first. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I'm trying to understand here, if there's an establishment of a trusted connection between entities to transact and implement a contract, for instance. So for those elements to be, is there a process? Because by default, those entities, by default, they should be trusted before the transaction. In the end, it's about entities, how they are. So does blockchain take care of make them trusted, or they're already trusted? Because if they're already trusted, there's no added value. If blockchain takes care of that, then who runs it? How does it do it? Because it will be an ideal setup where things are fast and immediate and automated. Thank you.
I think, yeah, my one thing is it depends which blockchain you use, and there are different levels of trust that are needed depending which blockchain. But I think Remy wants to answer, so I'll hand it over.
No worries. Understand how it's valuable to have a distributed ledger. When you make a transaction, together make a transaction, is centralized by an entity. What's the problem with that? Many. First one, corruption. You could be corrupted and you can return everything you want. Second thing is the centralized default system. I can give you a few examples about a system was out because they are too much centralized. First example could be with Facebook. Facebook was stolen dozens and dozens times your own data. Why we can use a distributed ledger to make it? Imagine that in this room we have all together, not a copy but an original of this ledger. And when we make another transaction, the protocol itself will call all those registers. And if one is different from others, it will be considered as fault. Exactly, as fault. So should nature a ledger and its ability to modify the majority of those ledgers between two transactions are really, really, really small. It's not impossible. Nothing is impossible. But it's really, really, really small. Something on it improves the security. That's the benefit of using blockchain technology. And if the network is extended, more is extended, more is secure. That's why blockchain technology, and the first of its name in history is the blockchain of Bitcoin, is so much secured because there is a huge network because of that.
We have two questions. that's what I think it's part of the major advantage of blockchain.
Okay, I can give you an answer to this right now or not? Can I?
I have an answer to this one. Yes. Every time Tesla runs into a tree, it's worldwide news. Every time blockchain is hacked, it's worldwide news. But have you heard about the major disaster that happened on 10th of May 2010 in the New York Stock Exchange, where they lost $862 billion in 5 minutes? Sure. Called a flash crash. Who has heard of that? Yeah. So, call I heard call a cow and a horse a horse. I agree with you. I agree with you. However, how can you tell me that you are in control of all your assets? How can you say that you are compliant with all your security stuff without Thank you very much. I'm always cautious. We won't change the world at all. It will happen. It will happen.
Okay, can I just complete your words? It's really important to have this discussion right now because there is a lot about blockchain, about fraud, about just 2 minutes. Blockchain who has been hacked are blockchain that was not enough distributed. We can be just 2 entities and we can make a blockchain. The question is, what is a blockchain? Where we are in the presence of a sustainable system. That's the question. Saying that blockchain technology itself is unhackable, as I told you, that's not right. But the majority of the problem that you heard about, it's not a problem the system itself. It's about the infrastructure built around this system. I will give you an example. If you suffer from a phishing attack because of your website, does it mean that your system is corrupted or failed? I don't think so. It's really important to be focused and to put the pen where exactly is the problem. That's a reality. But if you take a look about the most sustainable blockchains, because there is many blockchains, you heard about Ethereum, public, private, permissionless, doesn't matter. I have just a question to ask to everybody in this room. Do you know how internet works? That's my question. I think nobody in this room knows exactly how it works. The question is what it brings to you. What offers you internet? Internet offers you a way to communicate with anybody in other part of the world. Offers you to have an access to information. I'm not telling you it's a good information. Access to information. And the third thing is ability to buy or sell anything to another people in other part of the world. It's exactly what provides you. The question is, you don't have to know exactly how it works, but what it provides you. That's the most important.
Thank you. We are running a little bit short of time, so I want to give Badreddine the ability to present his standard. Badreddine is coming from my country. He's from the Netherlands, and he says he's from Amsterdam. Badreddine, you are one of the young people in the group. I believe you are the same age as my daughter.
Yep.
So, guys, where is the future? He is the future. Yeah?
He's the same age.
He's the same age.
I just look old, yeah. Always hurts when everyone thinks I'm old, but never mind.
So he is exactly the same age as I am, only the figures are the other way around. He's 26 and I'm 62. So you are the future. So tell me, how will blockchain help us evolve from the internet, etc.? Thank you.
So thank you. My name is indeed Badruddin, based out in Amsterdam. A guest lecturer at several business schools and universities in the Netherlands, also doing a lot of trainings and workshops around blockchain, smart contracts, and all the other buzzwords that are around this technology. And one of the biggest misconceptions, as I have explained earlier, is the fact that blockchain has been promoted and marketed as a technology that will disrupt everything and disintermediate every party. At the end of the day, I really believe technology is non-deterministic. It's up to us what we do with any technology. A knife can be used to eat meat, but it can also be used for bad purposes. Same applies to blockchain technology. So it's really the thing that we have. And beside all the technical challenges that were just discussed, like around hacking and cybersecurity, etc., all the technical challenges will be solved eventually. Compared to the 90s, where I was still wearing my diapers, everyone was afraid that the internet would collapse and the world would end if megabytes per minute weren't sufficient enough to send even an attachment on email. And today we can stream in full HD like this, easy peasy Japanesey, no worries. And I also expect the same to happen for blockchain technology around all the technical aspects that are still need to be solved. However, the biggest issue when it comes to blockchain technology is not technical in nature, but literally social in nature. How do we move from an ego system to an ecosystem? Blockchain is one of the few technologies that requires third-party buy-in. You need a consortium, you need partners, banks in case of the financial services, governments, startups. So you really need a collaboration of a multi-stakeholder ecosystem. And the question is, how are parties going to incentivize the partners to join their ecosystem? What's the big value for me? What's the advantage of joining your specific platform? In terms of artificial intelligence, for example, it can be done individually. You only need some algorithms, some data, and it can be run in-house without the need for third parties. But blockchain is a network system by design. And I think that's the biggest challenge that needs to be resolved, how we go from the ego system to an ecosystem. So it's not a technical challenge in nature. And once we have solved and cracked the code, I really believe that blockchain will be the backbone for the Internet of Value. If I take a picture with my mobile phone and I share it with anyone in the room, I'm actually sharing a copy. That's how information spreads over the Internet. Is anyone who wants to receive a copied $5 bill? Any hands? No one, right? Everyone wants to have the original. But how do you distinguish on the internet between the original and the counterfeited one? You don't. That's why you need trusted third parties. But as I explained earlier, they are slow, expensive. They sell our data. They do multiple things. And with blockchain technology, we can send value from A to B without going through an intermediary, without going through a trusted third party. That doesn't mean that the trusted third party is gone. Its role is suddenly changing. And some of them will definitely be gone. Some of them deserve it to be gone, especially those who are sitting in between remittances. Those deserve to be gone. But others who are just doing their job, I think there's some value to be added to the network and eventually to the internet in general.
Okay, thank you. Mauricio, can you react to what Badruddin has said? He already referred at you, so logical. I'm going to ask you what your opinion is about what
I'm a little bit confused.
You're really confused.
So disintermediation is one of the features I want to solve. But I think disintermediation, it should not be seen as something of the blockchain only going to be solving in terms of delivering value. In terms of disintermediation, I'm talking about a problem of optimization. Mm-hmm. Okay? So whether we on purpose have made processes a little bit efficiency because the regulator thinks that it's secure itself, is the question, is we going to give up on this trust in order to get value as well? And I think that's what blockchain can actually leverage. It can leverage these things about trust and give us more value. Whether we're going to use the transparency, that's a different question or not. Yeah. Okay? So for me, the statement of Internet of Value, yes, I think one we saw today is that we have an economy that's going to be a digital transformation. We're going to be a shared economy, and we have things that we don't understand. We're not able to define what is an IoT. It's basically a device that's connected to the internet, and what is the definition of the device connected to the internet can be anything. For me, the most important part is that with this data that this device is providing to the internet, can I make decisions that brings value to my day-to-day life? Whether it's an IoT device, whether it's a car, whether it's a computer, what as a society we do with this information? And what I really want to do is that one day takes this information, if I can remember what I did with this information, because the proliferation of data and the information that we were to see in our lifetime is tremendous, and we as a human beings will not be very effective to take decisions that machines will ever to take on our behalf to make wiser decisions. So the question to be answered is that blockchain is one of those technologies that will enable digital transformation in a secure and functional way.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. However, there's one point I want to make before going on to Remy. We have seen internet starting some 25 years ago.
70s, yeah.
At the end of 80s. At the end of
Yeah, it's I think it was 1990 or something.
95 exactly.
Yeah. So how many people in the whole world have access to internet, do you think?
How many people?
So is it the whole world, all 5 billion people? So maybe it's just a half, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but there are still areas in the world where they don't have access to internet. So my question would be, and that would be to all of you, my question would be, how will blockchain help the non-developed countries to do business? Maybe Remy can answer to that.
Blockchain technology is not able to work without internet. So if there is no internet, there is no blockchain. But the reality is the following one. It's 1,800,000,000 people are unbanked in the world. For us, in Belgium, in Europe, in United States, it's not a problem because we are all banked. But for people who doesn't have any bank account means exclusion. You cannot pay the bill. You cannot send money to your family. You cannot work. You can do nothing with that. Because banks just told that you are not a good profile to open a bank account for you. France is one of the rare countries for citizens that have the right to have a bank account. Is that it works. It's a reality. And it will come to us in our think.
Thank you. I hoped you would give this answer. Okay, thank you very much so far. Yeah. We have 4 minutes left to ask questions to Badreddine, and then we go on to Jo. So any questions for the young person in the room?
Ooh.
Bitcoin currently executes about 4.6 transactions in a second, and Visa and the rest does about 1,700. So what's the competition here? Because I don't see Bitcoin overtaking Visa and the rest in terms of speed.
Yep, a good question. This has to do with the scalability, the transaction throughput. Indeed, the transaction throughput is super low today. Where you can transact off-chain, and only the final settlement is saved on the main blockchain. So we can do a higher output off-chain, and once we have settled, the final result will be published on the main chain, which removes the pressure and increases the transaction throughput.
That causes waste condition.
Yeah. What did you say?
That causes waste condition.
What do you mean with waste condition?
A situation where if I made a transaction
Mm-hmm.
and I have a copy, because this is digital funds, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and I keep a copy and I make 7 copies of my funds,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Mm-hmm.
because it was the Bitcoin that was supplying the servers, and then when it finally checks it,
Mm-hmm.
the risk condition happens because at that point there's going to be a lot of failures in the transaction.
Yeah, well, yeah, theoretically speaking, it could indeed be the case. But also from a practical point of view, as Remy just explained, this has never happened so far. It might happen in the future, of course. Nothing is 100% secure. But again, like also with the second layer technologies, there are Lightning nodes who verify the transaction, who process them accordingly through cryptography, cryptography and encryption. So to be honest, I don't think that will be a problem for the future.
I just nip in here because I feel like that kind of brings back to the first point I said, and I didn't mean to be confrontational, but there's no enterprise company, Bitcoin or Ethereum, to do the type of things that they need to do. So the alternative is, like I said, permission blockchains, for example, Corda, which came out of the industry a couple of years ago, Hyperledger, which has been developed mainly by the Linux Foundation and IBM. And they have no scalability issues. So you would have, for example, 4 nodes hosted between 4 companies. And as long as where those nodes are hosted, for example, in AWS, the whole network would be as scalable as Amazon Web Services is, which is, there's no use case in the world at the moment that would outscale it. So that's why I said at the beginning, public blockchains, in my opinion, are completely useless for the enterprise space because of the exact reason you just said. Scalability is an issue, everything's public, which doesn't make sense for any enterprise. And the alternative is to use permission blockchains.
Yeah, and I'm myself, being a dinosaur, believe that this issue will be solved in the future because the internet was slow in the beginning as well. Exactly. So it will evolve in the future to something that is, what you say, scalable.
It's already scalable. There's already solutions out there that are fully scalable. So it's not an issue, really. It's not an issue for permission blockchains.
Well, we go on to the next speaker, which is Remy. Why doesn't it do what I want?
It needs a blockchain.
It's a blockchain. Remy, oh yeah, there it is. Yeah. He's coming from Paris. So, ooh, wow, wow, wow. So, and he is, well, introduce yourself, Remy.
Thank you. So my name is Remy Osken. I'm Managing Director of Crypto for All. We are a blockchain engineering and consulting company, one of the most oldest in Europe because we started this adventure 5 years ago. And I'm also a consultant for the European Parliament, just there for all the questions related to blockchain and ICOs. What is this technology, how it works, how can we regulate it, etc., etc., etc. And I love my work, I'm passionate about, because when I discovered this technology 8 years ago, I was like you, too beautiful to be true? Is that right? And I can guarantee you, yes, it's right, it's functionable, it's viable. And just to complete the words you say, I'm really impressed about the expectation of the people from this technology. Do you think at the beginning of internet you was able to transfer gigaoctets of data? Of course not. You are not don't wait from this technology too much at this time. It's a mature technology for sure. We are just at the beginning. We are just at the beginning. And about scalability, it's not a problem because this problem was right 1 year and a half ago. Now it's not anymore the case. Because the ability to validate transactions is based on what we call consensus mechanism, and the community has already developed other one. But I would close just the question with that. So why am I here? First of all, I think we have all there a responsibility to give you qualitative information, because you heard a lot of things about blockchain, about cryptocurrencies that are false or partially right. And that's my work, and that's why I'm passionate about it. That's why my statement is the following one, is blockchain will be for the next generation of financial services as internet is today for commercial trade. Why I'm telling you this? Let's compare just the beginning of internet with the beginning of blockchain technology and where we are. when internet begins, a lot of people says you can say an information and is a part of the world on few minutes instead of days with traditional mail. No, 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 I don't think so. These things will not last. Decades later, major companies are based their business model on this technology. And we can live now a minute without using internet. Now, if you compare this with blockchain technology allows to send and transfer value in other parts of the world in few seconds instead of days. So what do you think it will happen? That's my question. The same thing we used to with internet. That's the future. It opens a new era for financial services to transfer the trust from banks to decentralized system. I know it could be tricky for you to say, I'm used to go the bankers to say, where is my money? But in fact, if you really know how your money is created, you will understand that we are currently living in something system that is not sustainable. Yes, that's true. And if you have a question, I will be glad to answer to it. So that's my statement, and I deeply believe on it, because we already built solution using this technology. And if you want to try it, you can try it by yourself, by downloading few applications that exist. This is the best way to convince you is to use this technology.
Well, thank you. Thomas, can you react on the statement of Remy?
Yeah, so I definitely agree. I think it's come up quite a lot that it's going to have an impact. I don't honestly see the transference of value as that good. I mean, I can transfer value to anyone in this room instantly. That is probably good enough for me at the moment. And internationally, I think transfers that happen internationally tend to be big values anyway. So waiting a couple of days, I don't see as a massive problem statement at the moment that needs to be solved. So if cryptocurrencies can solve that, I suppose they can in a way. That's great, but I don't really see people in this room having a problem statement where they need to send money instantaneously to the other side of the world. I could send money easier through Monzo to anyone here than I could any cryptocurrency.
Okay.
The cost, what about the cost?
Pardon?
What about the cost?
It costs me nothing to send, well, within this room or internationally?
For you, for us in Europe. But
It
if you
doesn't
think in an international way, for sure you will suffer from huge cost.
As in if I wanted to send something to another country from here? Yeah, it would cost me money, but that is one use case, but I don't think that's a world-changing use case in and of itself.
Okay, thank you. Mauricio, can you give some light on these two battlefielders?
Yeah, I think we're on the completely different point of view. I think payment, it's, yes, it will be the first industry will be revolutionized by blockchain. And we see in banking moving towards very aggressively about addressing the payment system across borders. And indeed will be one of my great drivers that actually allow governments to program money. Yeah. So we're coming now from the infrastructure level. The infrastructure level is being built around services around payment. Payment is a force, a driven force for transformation. And what we see is the regulators for the first time what to do with this technology. They don't know how to protect the interests of the status quo. And that's a big debate about these things going on. So I agree that things will go over. But what is most important for me is that these spaces allow democratization of the economy. So basically, we will have an economy that allows to share value in multiple ways, not based on a currency fiat process, by ownership of an asset, and that can be traceable and trackable with the blockchain.
Thank you very much. Any reactions from the audience? Oh, that's far away. I come back to you later.
Okay, there is no discussion that this technology is trustworthy, that it delivers integrity, authenticity, no repudiation, all other properties that is needed. But why is this opposition? I was expecting that this will be very fastly transferred to all social services, as you say. Who is opposing this, that there is no regulation, that it cannot come on the market? Can you give me some answers about this?
Of course. What is the most topic related to blockchain we discussed in the previous days? We're talking about Libra. This is the project of Facebook. Why such a huge company would wants to use this technology to offer a payment to those users? What was the first reaction of the governments? You will not do that. You will not do that. You know why? Because governments are afraid to lose control about how money circulates in our world. That's the reality. I'm not judging about it's a good or not. It's just a fact. But the reality is the following one. You cannot stop technology. You can't stop it. You can have, firstly, a political answer. But after that, if you don't provide any technical solution that will use the current system, all the people will go to the other system because this other system is better than the others. And just to finish explanation, everybody's in this room, I think, thinks that the financial crisis is over. It was never over. We are still on it. You have impression we are over because you have always your money on your bank, because media has told you that's right, that's good. But trust me, when you will see another crisis will come, the trust you have on governments and banks will be dropped quite forever. And which kind of other systems do you have now as an alternative? You have just one. This one we are talking about right now. That's why I'm thinking it's the future, and it's a near future.
Thank you, because that's the way I feel as well. I'm now 1.5 year blockchain expert. Yeah? So maybe I see in the future the banks moving towards a more social way of trust.
They will use it for sure. Banks will use this technology because it will provide their own services for sure.
When we prepared our this morning, somebody of you said that Denmark has started a non-cryptocurrency. Was it you, Remy?
Yeah, you're talking about CBDCs. It's central banks' digital currencies. What it means that central banks are seen a way to use blockchain technology to improve current financial system. How? I will give you an example. When you create dollars or when you create euros, you will create, I don't know if I have, but I have a few bitcoins if you want to show. I don't have. You have a note. In every note, you have a unique number to say that it's a unique dollar or it's a unique euros. You will have exactly the same thing by using digital currencies. You can create a non-fungible assets. The technology could make a lot of things. It depends on how we want to use it. And the benefits for central banks to make it, they will be able to have on a real time, and everybody will be able to see it, how many money is on circulation, who has money, and where his money goes. And that's a security.
So money laundering will be non-existent anymore.
I don't think so, because if you know how the system works, you will have always people that will be able to avoid it.
So, after all, mainly in financial side, can you believe, or do you believe, that you have another ecosystem?
What do you mean about ecosystem?
All the roles changed. Banks changed, governments changed. We don't have middlemen more, so...
I'm a biologist, so I can answer this question. Well, Badreddine was talking about ecosystems, and I believe we will have a different world in let's say 10, 20 years. And we have different processes, and we will have different societies, and we will have different ways how we communicate with each other. And if that's your opinion about a different ecosystem, yes, we will have that. It's,
all the roles changed, so...
Yeah, it will change this in the same way as it has changed internet with, let's say, paying or watching television or whatsoever. It will change the ecosystem.
I'm talking as an economist, so
it's you know why I like this technology, because it crossed economics, it crossed math, it crossed technology, it crossed finance, it crossed quite everything. And if you know the history of money, but my question is, what is money in fact? What is money? Money, first of all, is a consensus between all the people to accept a way to transact. If everybody's in the room say, okay, we can use this glass as money, yes, during the Second World War, during the World War II, the money was cigarettes or ration to survive. So that's the main question. The reality is, we think as citizens that it belongs to third party to tell us what is money or what is not. But if we have a consensus between us, we can create our own money because we trust on it.
One more final remark. And I want these four guys behind me thinking about one word that may be their famous last word. So blockchain is or blockchain will. So Remy, one word, blockchain will. Or blockchain is.
Future.
Future. Thomas.
Varied. It's not one thing.
Vary, as in more than one thing.
As in blockchain isn't one thing. There's
one thing. Yeah. Mauricio.
It's exciting.
Exciting. Badreddine.
Interesting.
Interesting. Good. Well, I hope you guys, with these four words, you will take it away with your to the coffee and say, okay, it's either exciting, it's interesting, it's future, and what are you going to do with it? Because the world will change. Thank you very much.